My only brother's dying.
Welcome to episode 17 of the ISHAN cast. This is the A Song for My Brother episode. I'm getting this in the intro so that I don't get asked if I know which song we're talking about, because that happened last time, I think. And that was pretty hurtful, the insinuation that I don't actually know what we're discussing.
It seems like you're on a mission to completely ruin all my questions.
I am. That's something I enjoy thoroughly. I think this is probably a good segue into something I've noticed over the last few weeks. Something I've forgotten to do previous times is I've actually gone and checked some of the comments in the pod, like left on Spotify, left on the podcast platforms as well, just like on Instagram when we sort of talk about it. And to my disappointment, to my sincere disappointment, a lot of people have been saying that they enjoy our banter and they enjoy the vibe. And someone wrote, "Never replace your dad with someone else. The chemistry is like," I'm paraphrasing, but the chemistry is really good. And I don't know. I reckon it's lacking. But obviously the people don't agree with me. So it seems like
I'm here to stay.
I wouldn't put it that extreme. I'd say you're in for now.
There's a movie, and I can't remember which one it comes from, but there's a famous word where he screams out, "Vindication!"
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Captain Holt.
Captain Holt. Vindication. Yeah. There you go.
That's good.
We should
do a podcast like TV, like top movies at some point.
Pop culture references. Yeah. Can we talk about the song?
We can.
Okay. And you know which one it is too, don't you?
I do.
A Song for My Brother.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's rip right into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ishan, can you tell us a little bit about the story behind what I think I think everyone will agree is a very emotional song?
Yeah, so it's a song about wanting to look after someone you love. You can see they're going through a difficult time, and
I like that we spend more time together, but it's only 'cause you're sad. So I'll try to fix that.
Not only that, but they're in this case they're hanging out with people who you just know aren't good for them, and they're doing things that just aren't them. And sometimes all you can do for a friend who's going through something is say, "What are you doing tonight? Let's get burgers, let's hang out. You got no plans? Great, I'm coming over." And so that was really the sentiment of the song. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I always say for every song, it's one of my favorites. But if I think about the entire Who the Hell is Clara album, in my humble opinion, this is probably one of my top 2 favorite songs in the entire album. That, of course, includes many other songs which I've said I really like. But I'm curious because after you launch a song like this, which tends to be slow and a bit more emotional, the streaming numbers for these slow songs never seem to be as good as the more poppy, upbeat ones. Same thing happened for Impromptu Hug on the cycle of codependence. Do you have any theories as to why that might be the case?
Theories? I don't know. I suppose that songs that are more upbeat and happy tend to have a broader appeal, which I understand. I don't for a second think that streaming numbers are, a direct reflection of the value of the song. I listened to a song for my brother earlier today because I knew we were doing this episode. And I guess the context of the timing we're in now is the song's been out for, you could tell me how many months?
I'm going to say 6 months probably.
6 months. And because, like you said, it's not one of the more upbeat poppy songs, it doesn't tend to be in the live sets because, if I'm playing to a new audience, 5 songs, probably not the one that I want to put in there for that exact reason. So it's not always in the live set. It's been out for months. I haven't heard it in a while, and I'm writing new songs all the time. I'm not just sitting there listening to my old stuff. So I listened to it today twice, and yeah, I don't know. I got a bit emotional, to be honest, and I don't normally hype up my own stuff like that. So I apologize if that was lame, but yeah, I think it's my favorite one to listen to on the album. I think that
it's a big call.
It is a big call, but. Yeah, I think that when I go back and listen to the other songs that I've released, I'm proud of them. I enjoy them. I'm excited to continue playing them live. And I think that's a sign of a job well done. But I think that with A Song for My Brother more than the other ones, and maybe it's biased because I hadn't listened to it in over a month, and so I'd sort of not forgotten, but it wasn't quite as fresh in my mind. But I probably felt a little extra something.
Wow, because that means you are saying that you would not say prefer to listen, but you're when you say you're putting it up there as the one that you're liking the most or enjoying the most, that puts it above My Mouth and a Universe Needs and Her Boyfriend's House, and that's a big call.
Yeah, look, I think it's we're going to get to this later, but I reckon the competition's probably Clara above all the other ones. But I don't know. I think, it feels like the best version of itself.
Interesting. Okay. And you're not worried that the streaming numbers, like compared to My Mouth, for example, which has done close to 10 million streams now. I mean, some of your slower songs don't seem to perform anywhere near as well as on the basis of streaming numbers. That doesn't bother you.
Being worried and being bothered are different things. I mean, I certainly don't worry. I'm not going to look at the streaming data and go, oh, the faster songs do better. I'm never writing another ballad. That's not how it is. I'm going to make the music that I want to make. Of course, I would like to see the slower, strong songs stream more, but I'd also like to receive a check for $1 billion and
win a couple of Grammys and
exactly. But no, in a practical sense, I couldn't care less.
Okay. Now, at first, when I heard this song, I thought that in the chorus you were repeating a particular lyric. You'll say, at the end of the chorus, I'll try to fix that. And I thought you were saying repeating because they couldn't fix that. It's only when I actually saw the lyrics did I realize that the words were actually saying, because I couldn't fix Dad.
Cause I couldn't fix Dad. Now he's so angry, and maybe we'll run it back, but it doesn't seem likely.
And the reference to being angry and maybe reining it back were, as per the song, about me. So first of all, thank you so much for the unnecessary drive-by.
Absolutely.
And my question is, what the hell do you have to say for yourself?
Nothing, man. It's art. It's a free country. I can say what I like. I think that, without trying to get into the specifics of what the song is actually about, because, we spoke before about this podcast about not what the questions were, because we don't script them, but with this one in particular, we had a quick conversation about you sort of asking me how personal do you want to get? And I think that at least my position on this now is obviously I want to share what the songs are about and I want to explain the thinking and the writing. But when it comes to real people in my life, whether that's friends or whoever else, I just don't want to share all those things.
You want to maintain some privacy.
Yeah, it's just I think the art can still be appreciated without knowing, the song was about Bob. I don't know anyone called Bob.
Yes, I understand. You said on record the song isn't about your brother.
It's not about my brother.
But it's about someone else, and you would prefer...
He's around here somewhere. I was joking about whether we should bring him on the podcast and get him to, confirm that. But no.
But we were discussing that you would like to maintain the privacy around who it's about, and I think that's completely reasonable. I think the conversation was putting yourself out in the public gives people a right to know about you and interrogate your art and your music, but it doesn't give them a right to interrogate every component of your private life. And there's some things in terms of friends, family, etc., that you would prefer to keep to yourself. That's fair enough.
Yeah, I think that just goes for art generally. I mean, there are some things that I'll elaborate on and talk about in interviews or this podcast, and then I think there are some things where just if I'm going to talk about them, it's going to be through the art. And I think A Song for My Brother is an example of that. And then that's kind of it. I've lost myself in this question. What was the actual question you asked me?
Why the hell I'm so bloody angry the whole time?
Right. Okay. So let me bring it back to that shocking Aussie accent, by the way. Disgraceful. That's all to say that, I wrote this song trying to talk about a particular thing. And to talk about that thing, I used this metaphor of, is it a metaphor? maybe it's a metaphor. Got to brush up on my literary devices. A metaphor of the brother, right? And so in this story, whether it's a real brother or a fake brother, it's obviously not my real brother, but the brother is the guy who he loves and he wants to just take care of. And I spoke about earlier when I was explaining what the song's about, I said, it's this guy is sort of going down a dark path. He's hanging around the wrong people and he's doing these things just aren't him. And so in the metaphor, using the metaphor of the brother, the dad in this song kind of represents the tendencies, the patterns, the behaviors that the brothers would like to avoid. It's sort of like this idea of the every generation tries to be a bit better than the previous one, right? And so you can imagine one brother looking at the father going, gee, we can be so much better. And now the younger brother, again, not my real brother, not my real dad, but just in the metaphor, the younger brother's sort of, fallen on tough times and is slowly slipping into those patterns that both of them understand this is not what we want to be. So yeah, that's why I use that metaphor. I think, it's sometimes it's just nice to, whether it's using imagery of family or whatever, just sort of ties it nicely together in a way that you understand.
So for any fans who may inadvertently see me at one of your gigs being your roadie beast of burden, carrying your shit everywhere, they don't have to take a swing at me for being an angry prick. They can
leave you alone.
They can leave me alone. Okay,
Yeah,
that's this podcast is about self-perseverance.
Yeah, this is good. This is like a PR cleanup for you.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Like crisis management.
Get the record. Get the record straight.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the song, and you said we talked about it came out 6 months ago, but you obviously wrote it quite a bit before that. The song went through a bit of surgery in terms of structure in the studio. Can you remember what the original was like, and then also why you changed it?
Well, I can answer the second part of that question very quickly. The why I changed it was that the producers were like, we love this song, but we think it's too much going on. So can you just go home and see if you can just simplify it for us? And that turned out to be a great call, so I did. But the specifics of it, I think it was like, I think there was sort of twice the amount of material, like lyrical content happening in the chorus. I think in hindsight, I mean, I can't remember now, which is a sign to say it was probably for the best to cut those things. But I think I was just trying to do too much. I was trying to say too many things in the chorus, and really it only needed what it has now.
So that's a nice segue into the next point I wanted to ask you about, where you said you can't really remember what the original structure was. I remember when you came back from the studio and played it for me. I had a real hard time with this song because demoitis, and exactly right, it was demoitis. We've had this conversation about My Mouth when My Mouth came out, and people wanted the version that they'd heard on TikTok or Instagram, which of course was never going to be the actual version of the song.
I think we had a similar thing with Supernova as well. Supernova was I think it was maybe slower than the busking version or whatever. It's a similar thing. So
it came back, the structure was different, but also it had these sort of more, I'm going to say, electronic type sounds. It's sort of like, almost like the
some synthy sounds that were a bit eerie.
So I'll try to fix that. I'll try to fix that. I'll try to fix that. I'll try to fix that.
Right, and when you, of course, wrote it on the acoustic guitar, they weren't part of the song, obviously.
Yeah.
And so I had some challenges both with the soundscape within the song and then also the structure. But you can't remember the original. So obviously we've all gone over that.
But when you say the original, I can't remember the original writing. Like I had extra stuff. Actually, no, I tell you what, I do remember one thing, and maybe these details will come back to me in the next 2 minutes, but I remember the bridge, "He'll make a brave man someday."
He'll make a brave man someday, I know.
That was actually the second part of the second verse.
Correct, yes.
And I don't remember if there was a bridge. Maybe there was. Maybe there just wasn't a bridge. It just went verse, chorus, and that was it. So that was one thing. But when you say the original, like I I feel like I didn't have the same demoitis that you did because the previous version was just me on guitar, and so I never expected it's going to stay me and guitar. I mean, that's especially for this song. I was like, that's not quite what I wanted. That would make a great acoustic version, and maybe one day I'll make an acoustic version. But I think I was always not exactly sure what it would look like, but I knew the produced version would have some kind of electronic elements. I think the demoitis that I had was more, okay, I've changed the writing now.
Yep.
And doesn't matter what production you put on the song is the song, and the songwriting has now changed. But I think, I got over that pretty quick.
Now, this song has a deeply profound moment for me as a parent. I know it's not about your brother. Do you know what it is?
I don't, but every comment like that you make is just going to get people saying that it's about my brother.
No, it's not.
And it's about you. So you're undermining your own PR efforts.
No. So let me give you the context.
Go for it.
There's a lyric in here which says, "It's hard to find contentment. Teenage years
That's
when
my
nothing's
favorite line.
ever fine. It's a terrible time."
Isn't it hard to find contentment? Teenage years when nothing's ever fine. It's a terrible time.
I'm very proud of the use of the word contentment.
Right.
I like the way it sounds.
But what it does, it reminds me, and no one gives a damn about what I do outside of being at home and what I do for work.
We barely give a damn about what you do on this podcast.
Correct. That's absolutely true. But one of the things I do with my work is I run this exercise with some clients, and don't want to go into too much.
Lame, so lame.
It is.
This is
what we do is we draw a
This
line.
is the dad podcast.
We draw a line of people's lives, the ups and downs, and inevitably people's lines jag downwards in their teenage years, right?
Yeah. Oh, massively.
And it's sort of a reminder with, you're not a teenager anymore, but I had 3 teenage kids, but teenage time, teenage years are really tough.
I had a overwhelmingly negative time. I think it relatively speaking in the context of my life. Yeah, I did not enjoy for the most part. I did not love high school. I did not love being a teenager. I felt like once I left high school and once I went to uni, and I guess part of that's doing more music. Part of that's just once I got past that stage, I all of a sudden felt much happier.
So the profound moment for me, as someone who's not a teenager and a long way away from that,
Eons away,
is to remember to give people slack when they're teenagers, when you are an older person looking at those teenagers, but also when you're a teenager yourself, to give yourself some slack. And I'm wondering whether has anyone commented on that line or come back to you about the meaning of the song and how it affects them as a teenager?
Not really. I mean, I think, and rightly so. I think the people's focus when it comes to the song and the song's focus is more so on the idea of wanting to help someone you love, and wanting to look after someone, and that's a universal theme. That's not exclusive to being a teenager. There are people who need help at all ages, and there are people of all ages who are looking out for a brother or a sister or a friend, and so. Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea, and certainly when I listen to the song back, or when I listened back this morning for the first time in like a month, I definitely thought about that as well, and I was like, I didn't love being a teenager. It was like kind of sucked, as well as just thinking about just sometimes wanting to help someone. So yeah, I'm going to say not really, but I'm sure. There are some people out there who are teenagers who listen to this I'm not sure, but I hope there are some people out there who are teenagers who have listened to this song, and whether they've, actually recognized the messaging around that or not, even if it's a sort of subconscious thing, I hope they feel seen, because, they wouldn't be the only one who didn't really love being a teenager.
Yes, got it. Okay. Take me into the studio when you sung this song, because, for example, that lyric I just mentioned, teenage years when nothing's ever fine, it's a terrible time. It seems to just drip with emotion from a vocal perspective. It sounds quite different to the emotion in My Mouth or Her Boyfriend's House, for example. Do Do you have to get into a mood or a mindset when you sing something like this?
Yeah, I want to be careful about how I describe this because it's. I think that it's important, at least to me, to deliver what feels like an authentic vocal. And I don't know if that's a phrase other people use. I might have just made that up. But, all these songs come from a real place. So, okay, it's not my real brother. It's not my real dad who's being a schmuck. But, it comes from a real place. And so what I try and do in the studio is just put myself back in that place mentally when I'm singing. And so, it's not trying to really just get in my feelings and be as, introspective and moody as possible. It's like, it's just whatever the story was doing for me when I first wrote it, whatever that level is, because you can do too much. You can go way overboard and try and make it, just super moody and dark. And sometimes that just does the wrong thing. Like you get the wrong tone. And so, it's very unscientific, but I always feel like I get the best result when I can go back to the place that I wrote it.
Okay. Now, you also made a music video for this song.
And that was awesome.
Low budget, filmed on your iPhone with your two siblings.
I'm glad we're talking about this.
Tell me how that was.
That was so much fun. And again, this is another thing that's just going to make people think that it's about my brother. And it's just not. But the reason I did that was I think that this song's about a number of things. We spoke about the teenage thing and my siblings are, well, actually, younger brother's not a teenager anymore, is he? He is? He is. Hang on. I'm 21, so yeah. Okay, he is just.
Another month.
That's right.
And then he's out of it.
So, they're teenagers, but I think more importantly, they're just people I love and people that, especially as the older brother, but just in general, but especially as the older brother, I feel like I want to look after and I want to have their back. And, sometimes them just coming and hanging out with me, sometimes me just going and hanging out with them because, we're all neighbors. We live across the hall from each other. Sometimes just being there in the way that the song describes, can do wonders when you're having a bad day. And so I guess I wanted to just show that in the music video, the familiar love and kind of just the joy and the positivity that can just come out of spending time with people who are really important to you, doing absolutely nothing. So we just run around the city. I mean, like we had a lot of fun making this. When I said absolutely nothing, like we didn't really have an objective. We just did, I think, what my younger sister especially had been wanting us to do for a while, which is to go to the city and we did we did Hummer Film, which is the photo booth that she and her friends love. So we did that, and we played Pokemon Go, which my sibling. But to be fair, I enjoy a lot of Pokemon. I enjoy Pokemon Go as well. We used to play a lot when it was had just come out. We got chicken and milkshakes, which was elite. That was my favorite spot in the city. So yeah, like we just we did all these things that were fun, but really had no purpose other than it's just us spending time together. And so it was us filming as well. So we were sort of like swapping the phone around. And yeah, I don't know. I guess it kind of has that sort of like home video feel. Like we have a bunch of videos of us as like really young kids, and it's the camera's all shaky, and it's a lot of some of you probably have that at home as well. So yeah, in this video the camera shakes, and people go out of frame, and there's random people walking in and out of the shot. Like it's just so freehand,
but it feels very natural, right?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah, you can see that it's home done. You can see that it's just low budget, very natural. But you mentioned the sort of the familial love. It's really quite evident, heartwarming for me as a parent, of course. But then others who are no way related to us or to you, who have seen the video have said, both in comments on YouTube and other places, that it really is quite emotional and it's heartwarming as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's I hope it's one that I look back on, years from now and go, gee, that was a really nice moment. I mean, I think that the joy we had making it comes through in the video. And I think that's what I'll look back on. I think that's what people will connect with. And I think that is the point of the song. It's the way in which I'm talking about you being there for your brother, again, not my real brother, but, being there for someone you love. It's not being there for them by rescuing them from a tornado. It's being there for them by saying, let's hang out. Let's spend time together.
Nice. Okay. I want to then close this podcast off on a transition to the current day. I'm going to refer to a song from my brother. You wrote it on guitar.
Yep.
But in the studio, as it was recorded, it came out, it started off with a piano line.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking that as you've been writing your second album, there are a number of songs where you have started actually writing it with a piano.
Yeah.
And so my question is, have you started to learn the piano? Has something changed in your songwriting to give you more flexibility? Because up till now, it's always been very acoustic guitar focused in terms of your writing. A song for my brother used piano at the start, and some of your later songs that you've been writing for the second album, not the majority, but a few, have started with piano. So how's that being manifested?
Well, way to set me up like that. You know very well that I'm not learning to play the piano. Something I'd like to do at some stage. I mean, look, when I say that, I mean, yes, so I have been writing a bit more on the piano, and I mean, I have a little MIDI keyboard here, and there's a proper piano downstairs. So yes, I've been messing around, and there have been a few times where I've been out in the world and just writing into my, like, holding my iPhone here and writing into voice memos, and then I've come home and gone, well, I could put this on the guitar, but actually I could just start it off on the piano, and I'm like someone who genuinely doesn't play music at all. I'm like trying to find the chords, just like wrong note after wrong note.
You play music, you just don't play piano, you mean?
Yeah, no, but I'm saying it's like, it is literally composition by process of elimination. I play all the wrong notes, and I'm not tone deaf, so I can tell they're the wrong notes. So I play every single wrong note on the piano I
would imagine you're not tone deaf, given that you can sing and write and everything else.
I play every wrong note until I find until I eliminate all those, and then the only ones that are left are the correct notes, and they work. And I can, I can play some chords and just, do enough to get that feel. I mean, in the same way that I didn't play the piano on this song, like I would get a producer to play the piano, but it's just, it's certainly a different experience, sometimes a really cool experience to write on the piano and have that tone from the beginning, even though it's obviously not the finished product, the finished part. So yeah, that's the second album, which we're jumping ahead to for some reason, which is, that's how many podcast episodes before we get to album 2?
Olivia Rodrigo. We've got to do supposed.
We'll do supposed to be,
which is not on the album. That came out in between.
We should do like a special India. We should do like the India trips 1 and 2 more broadly.
We will. We will.
And talk supposed to be.
Yes,
it'll be fun.
So there's about 4 or 5 episodes still to go.
Yeah.
There's obviously a time delay between writing a song to producing a song to releasing a song. We are at the time of recording at the beginning of March 2025. This song came out, I'm going to say somewhere around August, September last year.
Yep.
And anyone who's listening to this podcast has heard snippets, perhaps, of you singing or exposing them to some new songs. Some may or may not be on the album. Suffice to say that a big chunk of the second album's written.
Yes.
Even though we're talking about the song for my brother.
I think.
Yes.
I think it's written.
So let us wrap up. I want to just reflect on 2 incredibly profound things that you've said in this podcast.
I'm so wise.
The first one is that you're not tone deaf. Okay? I mean, everyone was deeply, worried that you might be tone deaf.
My grandma's tone deaf.
Yeah, and
It's in the family.
and
It's your mum.
and your aunt, my sister, also is tone deaf.
Really?
I reckon she is, but I wouldn't tell her.
Oh my God.
Listen to us sing.
What an awful thing to say.
Listen to us sing "Happy Birthday," and then you might think the same thing.
That's messed up.
But she'll never listen to this.
This is good. See, this is what the people want, is to see
Me rat out my sister.
Yeah, are you sure what the song wasn't about you? Because it's toxic behavior.
This is why I didn't write a song for my sister or a song for my brother, right? Okay, so that was the first profound thing that you said.
Okay.
And the second profound thing that you said is that I knew the answer to the question was setting you up. Welcome to every single podcast and welcome to your life.
What?
I know all the answers. You said that I asked you about whether you play the piano, and you said you know the answer. You're setting me up, and I know that's correct. I know all the answers. You've finally tweaked on.
Is that how we're ending this?
Is that a good ending?
That was the worst ending ever.
See, you know what I'm trying to do here for you, Ishan? I'm trying to build support for your movement of getting me removed from the podcast.
Okay, I'm going to end it by saying the following. Thank you so much for listening to episode 17. Feel free, listeners out there, to start a petition to have this man removed as the host. We'll get someone proper. In the absence of that, we will be back with episode 18, talking about Olivia Rodrigo at some point in the future. Hope you're having a great day, and we will see you then.
See you later, maybe never.
But it's only 'cause you're sad.
That was so bad. Why'd you do that? Okay, bye.
Just know that I'll be right here forever, trying to fix that.